it's also beyond how they look, because they're also going after African Americans on the southeast side of Chicago. The building that got raided 2 weeks ago where they zip-tied those children, that was the building I used to live in at 75th and South Shore.
He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! That's my brother-in-law!
Get away from me! You don't know what's going on, so get the back! Get the back!
They are not showing their faces. They do not have badge numbers. Most of the people who are encountering them don't know who the hell they are. You could be anybody with an ICE jacket on your back. And they are being taken away, some for hours, some for days, to places where they don't know where they're going.
Where this judge thinks she gets off essentially becoming the chief of ICE operations. I mean, she cannot micromanage, tell them you have to wear body cameras. I mean,
people who are targeting areas that are largely home to black residents who are American citizens, and they are also putting a target on their backs. They are scaring people in the middle of the night. They are disappearing them. They do not give a damn whether they're American citizens or not. ICE is on a different type of mission.
They should not be targeting people just because of how they look. They should be following the law.
For that.
Yeah, well, that's look. The name Origi didn't exactly appear on the Mayflower roll. So, hey, there you go.
I mean,
we're all parts of immigration.
At this point, it's also beyond how they look.
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got Marvel's Kingpin today. He took the day off from his criminal organization. I'm not a conspiracy person, but I have one for you that I've been thinking about. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
I'm not happy that from a judge tonight scolding the Trump administration and demanding an ICE director appear in court to explain scenes like these that played out on Chicago's South Side, where agents can be seen deploying tear gas on crowds. Now, last week, Judge Sarah Ellis issued an order requiring officers to wear and use their body-worn cameras. And now she's calling into question their compliance with that order. New video shows agents tackling a U.S. citizen outside a Chicago Walgreens store.
He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! He's a citizen! That's my brother-in-law!
Get away from me! You don't know what's going on, so get the back! Back up!
That 19-year-old man, whose sister-in-law can be heard screaming, "He's a citizen," was later released. A ProPublica report.
So it turns out you didn't know what the F you were talking about. This is disgusting. These ICE officers, how do they talk to people like this? And expect the tensions not to rise? Get the F out of here.
Released today reveals more than 170 U.S. citizens have been held against their will by federal agents in the course of these ICE aids. And Ellie, I'll come back to you on this because there are a few things happening here. There's what the judge has asked of ICE agents, and then there's also just the conduct of these immigration incidents and the fact that so many American citizens are getting caught up in them.
there is a way, there would have been a way that the Trump administration could have gone about enforcing immigration law aggressively but fairly. And they've gone over the top. I mean, the scenes like we just saw, we've seen way too many of those. That's not good law enforcement. Most, good cops don't like to see that. And there's no need to be pepperballing a preacher outside of a facility. So I think they've made a mistake. I think they've overstepped. That said, I don't know where this judge thinks she gets off essentially becoming the chief of ICE operations. I mean, she cannot micromanage, tell them you have to wear body cameras. I mean, that might be a good idea, but that's an overstep. She's going to get reversed by a court of appeals eventually, maybe the Supreme Court, maybe the circuit court, because what are these? They're cops, essentially, right? They're immigration cops. Are they supposed to go to her and say, well, Your Honor, we want to take a door. Do we have your permission? Your Honor, when should we have our body cameras on? Do we need it during breaks? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that the chief of police or the ASAC would do federally.
Are they supposed to have the body-worn cameras on?
So federal policy varies by agency on that. Different municipalities, most municipalities require it. But again, for the judge to just, this is a perfect example, for the judge to say, you must have body cameras and have them on at all times, that's bad policy. Because what if you go into the home of a domestic violence scene and a victim doesn't want to be shown on camera? I've done these policies. You have to enable the police officer to turn them off, to protect victims, to protect privacy. This is why it's a mismatch for a federal judge to try to micromanage the street-level operations of ICE or any police force.
Well, ICE doesn't need to be in Chicago.
Eli Honig is such a jackass. Like, he spent most of his time there talking about these cameras and that the judge shouldn't be allowed to tell them to do that. Like, no one is saying that all their actions, they need permission to take a door or to arrest someone. Like, It's about accountability. That's why cameras should be on. It's for the public safety, for our safety. And I'm going to show you, like, this guy's such a lying little F. Eli Honig, he's such a snake. I don't trust anything he says. And I looked it up purposely. Never forget, he said he was happy to have National Guard come into Chicago because his kids would be in college in Chicago. And he wants his little baby boy nice and safe. And if that means tormenting black and brown people, which he knows very well it does mean that, then so be it. My son will be in college and safe. By the way, Chicago is an effing nice place. It's not crime filled. It's such nonsense. Your kid on a college campus would be beyond safe. Like, shut the F up.
Anyway, as somebody who is a native Chicagoan and a Southsider, there is a level of offense that is taken with not only the behavior that they are exuding. When you talk about the southeast side of Chicago, that community is 98% black. So a lot of the people that they are encountering and a lot of the people that they are deciding to throw in the backs of trucks to not say who they are while they're accosting them, the people who are standing outside who are being citizen journalists right now, because real journalists, the ones who are actually at ABC, NBC, and other local entities, have also been jumped by the ICE, by these ICE raids. It is very frustrating to watch, but the argument that they should not, or that, you know, she may be overstepping with body cam, I understand. However, there has to be some level of accountability, and currently they do not have it. They are not showing their faces. They do not have badge numbers. Most of the people who are encountering them don't know who the hell they are. You could be anybody with an ICE jacket on your back, and they are being taken away, some for hours, some for days, to places where they don't know where they're going. Many of them have their IDs on them, but are not even given them when they're released. And this is really
in many
frustrating.
cases, their charges are dropped or they are thrown out in court. John, you were shaking your head when Ellie, or you were reacting when.
Well, look, I mean, I appreciate, the necessity of if there's a domestic violence circumstance, but this ain't that, right?
Exactly.
And what we're seeing is something that is such an egregious departure from the general, the civility in which good police officers go about doing their job, protecting and serving. Yeah. Right? We got masked men in the streets of America taking down and arresting American citizens. And it is cruel, it is chaotic, and it does violence to the Constitution, and it damages due process. So I think we got to, I appreciate your point about, judges can't be dictating the cameras, but the reason is to have a degree of transparency. We had a case where one young woman was filming the ICE officers, right? This is citizens journalism. Slammed up against a wall and then arrested for, resisting arrest, and then that was thrown out.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not a judge's place to come in and say the fix is going to be I am now the chief.
Where's the fix?
But let me ask
you can bring individual cases.
I want to, maybe I'll ask you this and you can weigh in, but what if part of the problem is that in cases where some of this video camera footage is evidence of what happened in an interaction, ICE agents are turning them off or not wearing them when they have them to try to obscure the evidence of these interactions. And when it comes to people's rights being violated, doesn't the judge have some reason to say, if you have the ability to collect this evidence in these interactions, you should?
Well, not in this particular instance. She can't set policy. But also, I think it's telling. She said, look, I have a phone. I watch TV. I see what's going on. I don't know how many judges are using that as evidence in a case on a regular basis, right? Or a reason to haul someone in court. Well, should they? Or a snapshot? Or should we be just using real evidence? Or should they just, what happens on TV in a few seconds of a video that may not tell the whole story? The judge is going to rely on that?
She might have said something like that.
Come on, Kingpin. Go back to your criminal organization. And guys, I'm kidding about that. It's a joke, right? It's a comic book thing. My thing is, if you aren't doing anything wrong, then why would, what's the big deal of having the camera turned on? It's just so obvious to me that you want to take illegal, aggressive force that would likely get you sued if not arrested, if it's shown on video. It's the same with the mask. You obviously know. Because we're going to get doxxed, we're going to get doxxed. It's such a lie. New York City police officers, Chicago police officers, all around the country, police officers do their job, no mask. That's just nonsense. You obviously know you're going to be doing things extremely inappropriately. So you want to hide, like the cowards that you are. And I bet you those same cowards with the mask are the same ones that cried about having to wear one during COVID. 100%. Just think about the people that take on these kinds of jobs. I mean, some stores, a lot of them now, don't let you come in with like a ski mask on, right? Unless it's like winter or something, because it's about accountability, right? If anyone does anything wrong, we want to see who did it. It's not that hard to understand. It's just like the body cameras. And guys, I must have looked at 10 different places. They all say a judge has the right to make ICE wear body cameras. If they do not follow what the judge has said, it's called contempt of court. And you can either be fined or jailed based on the judge's discretion. Like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, what Eli is talking about. You can look it up for yourself. I couldn't find anything saying that the judge is not allowed to do this. She can make them wear body cameras. Simple as that.
Because here's a response from the DHS to ProPublica's reporting about the 170 Americans who have been detained. They said, DHS enforcement operations are highly targeted, in all caps, and are not resulting in the arrest of U.S. citizens, which we know is not true. We do our due diligence. We know that we are targeting who we are targeting ahead of time. And if and when we do encounter individuals subject to arrest, our law enforcement is trained to ask a series of well-determined questions to determine status and removability. Now, that is a statement in response to the reporting. But if that were a statement that were made to a judge, and you also have evidence that in a lot of these videos, that a lot of what they're saying there is not true, that there are roving immigration enforcement operations happening where they're just walking the streets and picking people up, that they are detaining American citizens, that they are, for example, raiding an entire apartment building and arresting everyone in the building to find two, maybe, Tren de Aragua members. Wouldn't the judge say, yeah, I mean, you're making statements to me, but I can see with my own eyes that some of those things are not true?
Look, I'm all for accountability as it's written in the law and what the stipulations are. I think Ellie did a really good job breaking that down. But look, I think we're at this point, and I understand the sensitivities around this a lot. A lot of those videos are jarring. There's no question about it. But we're in this spot because of failed policy of the last 4 years and beyond, and the lack of comprehensive immigration reform to make this happen. Look, the ICE agents are there to enforce immigration policy. And yes, there have been agitators and protesters against them, some of which are legal, but some of which are there to antagonize, to get cameras in their face and clout chase.
Also legal. That's
sure,
also
but not
legal.
if you interfere with the activities of law enforcement.
But being there with a camera is not illegal.
No, I'm not saying it,
but
but here is my biggest takeaway, I think, in a lot of this. Because in reading a lot about the ICE arrests and stuff that ICE publishes, you read the rap sheets of a lot of the people they're picking up. Not all of them.
Not the majority.
Hold on a second. Well, we don't know that because I don't think ICE has been clear enough.
We have the data.
Mission-focused enough to say, look, here is exactly what's going on. Here is who we're arresting. Here's who we're pulling off the streets. And by the way, and I agree with you, I'm going to preempt what you're about to say. I agree. They should not be targeting people just because of how they look. They should be following the law.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, look. The name Origi didn't exactly appear on the Mayflower rolls, okay?
There you go.
I mean,
we're all parts of immigration.
At this point, it's also beyond how they look, because they're also going after African Americans on the southeast side of Chicago. The building that got raided 2 weeks ago where they zip-tied those children, that was a building I used to live in at 75th and South Shore. So when I say this, these are people who are targeting areas that are largely home to black residents who are American citizens, and they are also putting a target on their backs. They are scaring people in the middle of the night. They are disappearing them. They do not give a damn whether they're American citizens or not. ICE is on a different type of mission.
Increasingly, the statements of
Ameshia Cross is right. I'm going to get to that in a second. But TJ, finally, a white Republican that finally acknowledges you come from immigrants too. Like, I don't get these white Americans come over here and, like, you come from that lineage too. Right? All you white people here are Europeans. What is wrong with you? Do you know how the original Americans look? They look nothing like you. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways, I thank you, TJ, for doing that. I hate you about everything else, but just for that. Ameshia Cross is right. We talked about this for months now here, that in their pursuit of immigrants, they will torment black people. We knew this was going to happen. And I'm with her. I think it's on purpose. There's something more here. I just believe the majority of black people you come across, you should know right away that they're Americans. Like, it's bullshit. Where are all the white Americans being arrested, slammed to the floor, detained for no reason? I get that black and brown people live in, you know, the same neighborhoods for the most part. But again, it's just impossible to keep making these mistakes. Think about the ICE officers who are doing these jobs. Think about who you have to be to even want to do one of these jobs. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but this is my thought on this. They want black people to start resenting Hispanics. And by they, I mean Stephen Miller. This is, you know, he's the sick. This is his whole, you know, plot. I think they want black people to start resenting Hispanics and have us fighting against each other. There would be no prettier of a sight for a party full of bigotry and races. No better sight for them. But that's my conspiracy.
DHS officials coming from ICE about some of these raids are also coming up against scrutiny, because sometimes many times now, they are saying things that are not true and are proven later on to be false. You know, there was a case of someone that they charged, she was filming an ICE arrest. They charged her with assault on an ICE officer. That she was acquitted in that case. And in the trial, there were issues with whether or not she was even the aggressor in that situation. So that's just one example, but there are many others.
ICE has a credibility problem right now in the courts. I mean, there was also in one of the National Guard cases, I think the one in Illinois, actually, the judge basically said, what you're telling me, DHS, is contradicted by the facts. And to Ameshia's point, let's remember, there was a Supreme Court opinion. It was the emergency docket, so it was one of these 2-paragraph opinions about a month ago that actually shocked me. We talked about this before. That said it's okay for ICE in making immigration arrests to consider skin color, language, and where the people are, if they're at a Home Depot or a car wash. Now, I think that's an outrageous decision, but it's to your point.
And Kavanaugh said in that case, if the officers learned the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the United States, they promptly let the individual go, which again, also we know has not been happening.
It has not been happening. We know from that ICE statement denying the reporting from ProPublica, that's a credibility problem. It's not a communications problem. I mean, Axios reported that the DHS has spent $51 million of taxpayer money this cycle to try to put out ads to make people feel good about what they're doing. That's a misuse of campaign money, but the misuse of taxpayer dollars, to my mind. But more importantly, it's not going to erase the credibility problem if you're fighting the facts and trying to demonize journalists and citizens.
All right, next for us as the White House.
Black people out there, I'm going to give you advice. Start suing the F out of these people. Like, sue the F out of them. Once they start getting a swath of lawsuits, they're going to start having a big problem on their hand. Like, these people are so disgusting. To allow that racial discrimination, really? We know that we have European illegal immigrants in this country, so we're just going to ignore them and just go after the black and brown people? It's so effing disgusting. And guys, think about this. That part where they showed all those, the filling the streets with smoke bombs. Does that look like we're safer now? Do you really believe we're safer now? You know that there has been less arrests for crimes because of so much of law enforcement's resources is being used to facilitate this kind of garbage, ICE and National Guard garbage, help deport immigrants who aren't even committing a crime. Over 75% of them never committed a crime. It's something like, I think it was like 2% that have any type of violent crime. It's such a small percentage. Police are pissed. They don't want ICE or the National Guard around. They're getting pepper sprayed and ignored and disrespected. Like, think about if you were a cop. Would you want these assholes around? Steamrolling you? Literally, these idiots are making our streets less safe as real crime is not being focused on. You see how stupid these people are? Their bigotry-filled brains gets in the way of everything. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. It really helps the channel, really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.